Hello everybody, I'm Brad Means.
And I'm Jenny Montgomery.
We want to welcome you to this special presentation of Hidden History, celebrating Hispanic heritage.
The observation of National Hispanic Heritage began in 1968 under President Lyndon B. Johnson as a week-long celebration and was later expanded to a full month in 1988 by President Ronald Reagan.
September 15th marks the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Chile, all celebrating their Independence Days September 16th and 18th, respectively.
We hope you will join us for the next half hour as we explore the rich traditions of the Hispanic culture that are shared with all of us.
It's going to be a special time for sure. You know, one annual celebration in the Hispanic culture is Dia de Muertos, commonly known as Day of the Dead. An elaborate celebration that many don't understand.
We went to our own Ashley Flete to explain the significance of the celebration.
Brad and Jenny, ¿conocen el significado del Día de los Muertos? Do you know the significance of the Day of the Dead? Well, I'm here at a popular Mexican restaurant in Augusta where I'll take you on a trip to Mexico without you even having to leave your seats. Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is not a Mexican version of Halloween. Though related, the two annual events differ greatly in traditions and tone. Whereas Halloween is a dark night of terror and mischief, Day of the Dead festivities unfold over 2 days in an explosion of color and life-affirming joy.
Para recordar a nuestros seres queridos que ya se fueron.
This celebration is a mashup of pre-Hispanic religious rites and Christian feasts. It takes place on November 1st and 2nd.
It's a very important day for us because it's the one day that we believe our deceased loved ones can come and spend the day with us.
The centerpiece of the celebration is an altar, or ofrenda. These aren't altars of worshiping. Rather, they're meant to welcome spirits back to the realm of living. The altar is loaded with different offerings like water to quench thirst after the long journey, food, family photos, and a candle that lights the way for each dead relative.
¿Ha sentido usted una forma de alguien que usted amaba, que se murió alrededor de usted en el Día de los Muertos?
El año pasado, cuando acababa de hacer el altar, acababa de poner yo a mis abuelitos y cuando los puse y les puse su taza de lo que ellos toman. Ay, perdón. Sentí que estaba él ahí.
Both Galvin and Castro worked at El Rey, voted one of the best Mexican restaurants in the area. Not only is it known for its good food, but for the authenticity and richness of the Mexican culture.
Well, we decided to bring it into the restaurant so that people can kind of get a glimpse of the cultures.
Do you find people to be very receptive of what you guys do?
We had a customer that asked if they could bring the picture of our loved one here. We were like, yeah, why not? And they brought in like a bottle of tequila because that was their favorite thing to drink when they were alive. And he said that walking in the next day, he felt the presence of his loved one here. So that's the only time that we felt, something like that. But it was cool because he's American, so he got to kind of get the hint of why we do it.
The Calavera Cantina, or elegant skull, and cantina meaning rich, is the Day of the Dead's most known symbol, simply because in the Mexican culture, todos somos calaveras, meaning we're all skeletons, and underneath all our man-made trappings, we are all the same.
Era una tradición de ellos que ellos creen y nos hacen creer a nosotros y nosotros a nuestras generaciones de que hay un día en que de allá les dan el permiso para venir a visitarnos.
And putting up this memorial is something the restaurant does every year in hopes to feel the presence of their loved one again next year. And Day of the Dead is celebrated by a lot of cultures, but this way is just the Mexican way of doing it.
I never saw it as being a Hispanic astronaut or whatever. I was just an American astronaut.
Sid Gutierrez is known across the world for his accomplishments. Not only did he make it into space aboard 2 NASA shuttle missions, he made it into the history books.
His story begins in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Crystal Gutierrez tells us that his journey is far from over.
I remember one individual, a little bit older than me, who told me, there's no way you're going to be an astronaut. I was like, why? And he said, they're never going to pick a kid from New Mexico.
Sidney McNeil Gutierrez, also known as retired Air Force Colonel. To the world, NASA astronaut.
I'm the first U.S.-born Hispanic astronaut, yes.
What a title. Did you ever think that title was going to be bestowed upon you?
I always wanted to be an astronaut.
Sid accomplished his first goal by making it into the Air Force Academy. He would soar past his second goal and became a pilot, flying the F-15s and becoming a pilot instructor, then becoming a test pilot for the F-16s. He wasn't done just yet, though. He would apply to NASA, and you guessed it, he'd get that call.
How old were you then?
I was 30, I think I was 32.
32 years old.
Yeah.
Getting a call from NASA.
Yeah.
Saying, come on down.
Right.
The first person he called, his wife, Marianne.
Did you ever think he was going to reach that goal?
I thought if anybody could, he could. He's a very determined person.
In 1991, Sid, the first U.S.-born Hispanic astronaut, would head into space aboard Shuttle Columbia. With the tragedy of the Challenger fresh on their minds, Sid suited up, boarded the shuttle, and lifted off.
You saw it going up, but feeling those shock waves against your chest made you realize that they're really going into space.
In 1994, Sid became the first Hispanic to ever command any space mission, including Russian missions.
I never saw it as being a Hispanic astronaut or whatever. I was just an American astronaut.
Well, Sid is not finished exploring yet. Oh, he owns and runs a rocket company based in Florida. They're working to keep space exploration going strong.
He also returned to his roots after retirement, moving back to Albuquerque, just down the street from his childhood home.
I feel like being a mariachi girl can give so many messages, like women can do anything. Anything they want to, anything that they put their minds to and really are dedicated to.
The music of the mariachi, especially for Mexicans and Mexican Americans in the United States, is a cultural emblem, and it's really more than a central place in community celebrations.
As Norma Gaspar shows us, it's also part of the Mexican tradition and identity, and its significance did not go unnoticed.
A fiesta is never complete without a mariachi, a world-renowned Mexican music expression. Declared in September 2012 as an intangible cultural heritage of the humanity by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, known as UNESCO. A recognition that people like Miguel Orozco, producer and director of Hispanic musical bilingual theater plays in California, says was due a long time ago.
My first thing would be, why did they wait so long? Because mariachi's been around for centuries, and mariachi is the soul of Mexico.
Orozco grew up in the United States. However, his family and roots go back to Mexico, and so does his heart. The bilingual musical play Mariachi Girl is one example of his latest projects. It details the struggles of an immigrant family when their youngest daughter wants to become a mariachi singer.
Sita, your papi has his reasons for not wanting you to sing mariachi.
Yeah, because I'm a girl. That's the only reason. I feel like being a mariachi girl can give so many messages, like women can do anything. Anything they want to, anything that they put their minds to and really are dedicated to, they can do it. And I feel like it's also an example for parents that they should not so much be into what's traditional, but like as generations come, everything's changing.
At the end, the love for the traditions and family values win the heart of her father, a professional mariachi player and singer. The city of Bakersfield, California, has been blessed with many mariachi groups, especially one which has roots in Mexico since the early 1990s, and continues its tradition with 3 generations of family members. The founder of Mariachi San Marcos, Don José Laris, couldn't be prouder of the UNESCO declaration. José Luis Laris, his youngest son, has taken to heart his commitment to teach kids the beauty and importance of the Mexican music from a very early age. Parents play a primary role, but it also takes people like Laris and Orozco to ensure that the new generations of immigrants who are raised in this country understand and learn to love and respect the Mexican mariachi music. In Bakersfield, California, I'm Norma Gaspar.
We may not be Cuban, we may not be Spanish, but we all have a link to what went on here.
Historic Ybor City is known for many things, including being steeped in Cuban culture. Life these days is much different than it once was.
But historic walking tours through the city give people a chance to experience what life was like back when it all began. Take a look.
You can see it in the architecture, taste it in the food, and smell it in the air.
He wants to build what is a lasting legacy, something that will carry his name.
Stephen Stamberger is not only a great storyteller, he's a guide with historic walking tours of Ybor, helping to carry on the legacy of the city's heritage, rich in Cuban culture.
I'm going to take you back in time, and we're going to take you to the casitas, the factory houses that Mr. Ybor will build and provide for all of the people that come to work here and to live here. And you'll learn what life was like back in those days. It's a little harsh by today's standards.
A fitting place to start, the statue of Mr. Vicente Martinez Ybor, the founder of Ybor City and creator of the legacy of Cigar City. The 90-minute tour takes you back to the late 1800s, from the very first social club, Centro Español, to the well-known Cuban club. Social clubs were the heart and soul of the community.
Your entire personal life will be spent in your respective social club. And along with your dues comes all your medical care. These are early forms of HMOs in the clubs. And your doctor and medical staff will be your heritage. You'll have Spanish doctors, Spanish medical staff.
Walking the brick streets of Ybor, you'll see many pieces of history. Cigar factories, the State Museum, and a spot known to many Cubans as holy ground.
So we are technically
in Cuba.
In Cuba.
Jose Marti Park is the only plot of land in the United States owned by Cuba.
So that's actually Cuban soil in each one of these round gardens.
Marti was a Spanish aristocrat giving his first speech from Ybor City calling for the liberation of Cuba.
You will often see families of Cubans that will purposely travel to Ybor City from all over the country to visit this park.
Just to come here.
Because this is holy ground.
A living history waiting for you to explore.
We may not be Cuban, we may not be Spanish, but we all have a link to what went on here.
I got 32 years, so I have love and pride for this job. I was 11 years old when I started in the bakery, just helping out and everything.
Well, from Mexico to Central and South America and through the Caribbean, we celebrate different cultures and traditions.
And while in the U.S. we are most familiar with Mexican food, Mexican cuisine is just a sampling from the Hispanic countries.
United by one language, individual customs, traditions, ethnic dialect, and especially food bring out the unique charm of each country. Like most Latin American menus, Salvadorian dishes are centered around corn. One of the country's most notable dishes is the pupusa, a corn tortilla stuffed with beans, cheese, and pork. Let's explore Cuba.
A lot of spices, a lot of garlic, like a combination of African America, like Latin America.
A Cuban restaurant staple, ropa vieja, stewed beef shredded pulled with vegetables. It is one of Cuba's national dishes. Mexican food, you have the basics. Tacos, tortilla chips, and burritos. But it's important to know each region cooks up its own flavors.
If you go to the south, say Yucatan, Mérida, the achiote for sure. It's heavy in the achiote, many other heavy spices on those states. If you go to the coast, we speak about salt and lemon because the seafood, we do a lot of ceviche. If we talk to the north, I would say heavy sauce with spice. And a lot of meats. But if we talk to the center of Mexico, which is Mexico City, where I come from, it becomes a very delicate cuisine.
Standard Mexican foods tend to deliver some heat, which makes it unique among Hispanic cuisine.
You cannot think about Mexican food without spices, without chiles, without salsas.
Culinary classics from different cultures vary from country to country, community to community. Enough special flavors to enjoy an extraordinary feast during Hispanic Heritage Month.
If looking at all that food didn't make you hungry, let's check out the debate on origins of a popular sandwich, the Cuban. Was it invented in Tampa or Miami?
Love the Cuban. Gail Gallardo traveled to the famous La Segunda bakery in Ybor City to see if the generational bakers can settle that debate.
Before the sun rises and the dough rises, bakers at La Segunda Bakery in Tampa's historic Ybor City start prepping the secret ingredient to make authentic Cuban bread: palmetto leaves.
This is how we start off our day, early at 5 in the morning. But what we'll do, we'll chop them to the length that we need. We rip leaf by leaf, by hand. Everything's done by hand, mainly in here.
We'll set the leaves aside for now. I'll show you later why they are key to baking authentic Cuban bread. First, though, let's explore a bakery that opened its doors in Tampa in 1915, where every loaf of bread is made from scratch by hand. The hands of people who've come from a family line of bakers like Bryant Valdez.
I'm gonna be straight up with you. I got 32 years, so I have love and pride for this job. I was 11 years old when I started in the bakery, just helping out and everything.
And everyone at La Segunda is like family, working together like a well-oiled machine to roll out perfectly crafted bread used to make the famous Cuban sandwich that longtime bakers will tell you was invented in Tampa.
I mean, the Cuban sandwich, which really was invented here.
I know, that is the age-old question, but we have always known the answer
Yeah,
to that.
yeah.
I'm third generation.
And I'm gonna fight it all the way to the end.
Now that we've got that settled, let's get to baking.
This is where heart and soul at. Where we got the boleo, we got the bolas right here.
The bolea gets shaped into loaves, which looks easy until I give it a try.
You push down harder, push down harder. Don't worry, I can fix it though.
You can?
Yeah.
Next, the loaves get measured, and this is when we need our palmetto leaves.
And that's for the face of the bread, which was invented in Cuba over time because they used to use old shoestrings instead of using a knife, which opens up like a flower. As they go, we flip it over and we measure to the stick, as you see. We make sure each loaf is 36 inches, the long bread. The short bread is 18 inches. We measure each one by one. So there's not, they're gonna do their job and we're like machines.
This is what it looks like baked into the bread. The idea came from this man's father. Copeland Moore is now the third generation of family to run La Segunda. And today he's making sure with modern day shipping that this bread makes its way across the country.
We discovered a way to transport the bread out of the area. So now it goes all the way up to Alaska, out to California, Texas, throughout the entire United States.
Where it's used to make the popular Cuban sandwich.
The popularity of the Cuban sandwich has really taken off recently, and so a lot of restaurants that are outside of the state might try to use a different bread, a hoagie bread, or a different kind of roll, but now the availability is there for authentic Cuban breads.
So how do you make a real traditional Cuban sandwich? Joyce Mar Encarnacion showed me that first it starts with La Segunda Cuban bread, then secret sauce.
This is a mayo, deli mustard, garlic, and a little bit of pepper mix. Okay. This is what everybody loves.
Next, you layer the bread with Swiss cheese, salami, ham, and pulled pork.
This is our mojo pork.
You can eat it cold or hot pressed, but no matter how you serve it up, its mouth-watering deliciousness will take you back in time to where real Cuban bread is handmade. And the Cuban sandwich was born right here in Tampa, Florida.
Well, Copeland's grandfather was born in Spain and moved to Cuba to learn how to make Cuban bread. He followed the cigar industry rush to Ybor City, made the bread and sandwiches there to feed factory workers, all those workers who hand-rolled cigars.
We hope that the past half hour has given you a greater appreciation for the Hispanic culture that is all around us.
It is certainly a part of our culture as well. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today.